Oil is the most traded commodity and creates immense wealth for the countries that source it. So what would you expect from coffee? As the world's second most traded commodity before gold, natural resources and gas, your daily trip to the local cafe contributes to the billion-dollar industry. The consumption of coffee is widespread. In the US alone, 83% of people drink coffee with an average of 1,100 cups per person per year. A few powerful players, namely Starbucks and Nestle, dominate the coffee industry. Both their values revolve around increasing quality of life through good coffee. But how much of these values are reflected in the supply chain? In the retail part of the supply chain, we found the average pay for baristas to vary across different countries. For example, US employees of Starbucks are paid $8.75 per hour, compared with those in Chile who receive $2.50 an hour. Furthermore, in India, baristas receive only 89 cents per hour. This shows that while employees are doing the same job, Starbucks takes advantage of its employees in countries with little labor regulations. The coffee beans go through a series of processes which include drying, hulling, and polishing before they go for roasting. Prior to the distribution of coffee, they are sorted and packaged. This year in July, 905 million bags of coffee were exported around the world. Almost all coffee is produced in parts of South America, Africa, and Southeast Asia. Coffee contributes hugely to these developing economies, such as in Burundi, where coffee cultivation accounts for 80% of its foreign exchange earnings. The trade agents act as the intermediary between farmers and multinationals. They are under pressure from these corporations to purchase coffee from farmers at low prices whilst trying to make a profit for themselves. In some cases, they pay farmers 50 cents per pound, while they themselves are paid $2. Family farmers only earn $500 to $1,000 a year for their coffee beans. This is the equivalent of the earnings and conditions of sweatshops in Guatemala, which gives rise to the concept of sweatshops in the field. Coffee growers have to meet a 100-pound quota in order to get minimum wage, equivalent to less than $3 a day. This in turn forces overtime and can result in many children being forced to work alongside their parents in order to meet this quota without receiving any additional pay. In addition, the price of coffee is decreasing whilst the cost of producing it is increasing, therefore making it harder to make ends meet and improve farming practices. Without any help or assistance from multinationals, farmers are forced into a continuous cycle of poverty and debt. This takes away their ability to support their family in terms of education and healthcare, which also affects the wider community. So, do you still think you would buy this cup of coffee? No, probably not, but who is responsible for this and to what extent? The senior management of multinationals are primarily concerned with the activities of the supply chain that directly impact the price of their end product. However, this billion-dollar industry would fail to exist without the inputs of farmers, whose needs are often ignored by these corporations. Multinationals are undoubtedly the most powerful players in the supply chain, and should therefore be responsible for the outcomes at each stage. There are many solutions which senior management can choose to implement. To improve the current situation, multinationals could encourage farming cooperatives in their supply chain and purchase from them, as this eliminates the middleman and forms a body which can represent the interests of the farmers. Working together with other farmers encourages the sharing of knowledge in order to increase productivity and the quality of their harvest, which will help receive better prices. Transfer pricing can be implemented, as this helps allocate profits for tax and other purposes amongst parts of a multinational. The purpose of transfer pricing is, firstly, to help coordinate production sales and pricing decisions of the different divisions, and secondly, it will affect not only the profit recorded for each center, but also the allocation for the organization's resources. The advantages of transfer pricing include decisions that are better made and more timely, managers who are not distracted by routine and local decision problems, and finally, increases the motivation of managers as a result of having more control over performance results. Education is also very important to ensure that everyone in the organization is committed and understands the value of being responsible. While other solutions to the problem may be temporary, the way to make effective and successful changes for the long term is by teaching employees and managers about the potential value of these changes. Senior managers need to lead by example. If others see they are committed, they too will value the changes and be interested in responsibility. An increasing number of consumers are beginning to change their preferences towards more responsible organizations. Therefore, being accountable for operations throughout the supply chain will not only help coffee farmers, but also the operations and sales. On the other side, Organizations will have better quality control if they work together with farmers and can also have input in improvements and innovation in coffee. By implementing these solutions, we believe that we could brew a better cup of coffee for you and the entire industry.